to explain to you, you've got Italian translation on your Netflix, okay? And we have... Okay, and you can speak in you can speak in Italian, whatever you'd like. Okay. Okay, welcome to the press conference for the Panorama film Mi piace lavorare, mobbing. I like to work, mobbing. We have a translation for Italian, English, and German. And please wait for the microphone if you have a question to ask. I'd like to introduce our panel to begin with, starting at the far side. We have the producer of the film, Donatella Botti. Then two people who are also involved in the union, but who have worked on the script of the film, Daniele Ranieri and Assunta Cestaro. And Assunta Cestaro is also a lawyer involved in the union. Next to her is Paola Comencini, the first of the Comencini clan that we have here. And she designed the sets. And then we have Camille Dugai Comencini, who is, I believe, your daughter, is that correct? Yes. And she is one of the stars of the film. Next to her, Nicoletta Braschi, who is the main actress in the film, and the director and writer or co-writer, Francesca Comencini. Welcome.
Grazie.
So I'd like to ask for your questions right at the beginning, if anyone has a question to start off with. And if not, I would start by asking asking you how you, Francesca Comencini, got involved in this topic of mobbing. Mobbing is a word that we don't normally use in English, but it's become a very fashionable word used almost around the world because the phenomenon is worldwide. I think we say harassment usually in English, or victimization. But tell me how you got involved in this topic.
Ma avevo sentito parlare di mobbing intorno a me.
I heard people talking about mobbing around me in my social circle, people who had experienced this problem, and that interested me a great deal right from the outset, because it seemed to me to be a problem which in and of itself was very painful.
Che può colpire in maniera molto profonda le persone.
It can really affect people very deeply.
Che è un po' un simbolo, una metafora
And it seemed to be a problem that's a metaphor for a lot of other things which mark the time in which we live, and I wanted to talk about it. I wasn't quite sure if I was going to make a film at the outset, and then I found out that in Rome there's an anti-mobbing office specially set up to deal with this, with the largest trade union in Italy, or the most important one anyway, CGIL. I got in touch with this anti-mobbing unit and started to work with people who deal with this problem: lawyers, psychologists, trade unionists, psychiatrists, people who are involved in vocational medicine, and I found out that it was a very widespread problem. And then I met people who had suffered from mobbing. I shot some footage of them, of what they had to say about this problem. And there was so much pain in what they had to say, and it went so deep that really encouraged me to make this film. And I felt that it was something rather urgent, because it was essential to me to talk about this. And a particularly relevant problem is the mobbing suffered by women.
Question, please. Raise your hand if you would like to ask a question, and we'll get the microphone to you. I believe that you worked closely with Daniele Ranieri and Assunta Cestaro to find people who have been involved in mobbing and been victimized by it. First of all, you could perhaps tell us how you found them, and they could then tell us more about this anti-mobbing union or the organization that deals with these problems. And I forgot to mention that Assunta Testaro is also an actress in the film and plays a very significant role, a very strong woman.
Ma diciamo, dal momento in cui io ho cominciato a occuparmi di
When I started to address this problem,
un passaparola intorno a
by
Camera del Lavoro di Roma, della CGIL
word
di Roma,
of mouth from this anti-mobbing unit, we got in touch with a lot of people. People started talking about the fact that I wanted to make this film. I'd like to say a few words about the economic environment in which we made this film. And I have to underscore the courage of Donatella Botti, who produced the film. We didn't seek any additional funding at the outset. There were very few of us who set off thinking that we'd like to make this film, and then slowly but surely funding came in from Rai Cinema and from the distribution company BIM. But really right from the outset it was important to us to find a cast who would work for free. And there's a great deal of energy created around the film, word of mouth, through the trade union as well. The trade union in a way was my casting director. A whole host of people came along to me and wanted to make this film. They wanted to become involved in this adventure. I think that's something enormously positive. In Italy, at present, if you have the energy and you get together, it's possible to create things. The trade union was very important. It made it possible for me to get documentary background, but also in terms of the human energy that was involved with this film. We had very generous, non-professional actors, and I think that they were absolutely excellent, by the way.
The question was also directed to Daniela to tell us more about this anti-mobbing organization or union. Could you tell us more about that, how it works, how it functions?
The trade union started to address this problem in Italy in around 1999-2000. What we do is listen to what people who've suffered this problem have to tell us. One of the main problems is the enormous solitude that affects you if you're suffering from this problem. So that's what we do with the anti-mobbing office. We listen to what people have to say. They can tell us their story. We want to ensure that they don't feel alone and feel that they're guilty of something. We want to feel that they're part, and to feel that they're part of a phenomenon. Perhaps people often don't realize that themselves. This is a widespread phenomenon. People who come along to see us have this vague idea of what's going on. They suffer, physical terms and psychological terms. But almost always they have a sense of guilt about what's happening, so they come along to understand exactly what's going on. The psychologists ask them to narrate what's happened to them and to put it into a broader context, to put their suffering into a broader context as well. And on the basis of what's been happening, we try to get in touch with the company in question and seek to resolve the problem with the company, if the company is prepared to work with us. Otherwise, we launch either legal proceedings or trade union steps are taken. We've solved part of the problem. In Italy, there isn't any legislation stating